Yep, I mean, good stuff.
There.
I'd like to call to order the January 18th, 2022 Board of Zoning Appeals meeting to order. We'll start, if you would, by joining us with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd like to make a motion to amend tonight's meeting agenda. Prior to moving into our election of officers, I'd like to just give a quick recap for we have 3 new members. So I'd like to make a motion to add just a quick meeting housekeeping item.
Second.
Is there any discussion? We have a motion and a second to add an agenda item following the introduction of our new members for meeting housekeeping. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That motion passed unanimous. I'd ask our city attorney, can I just move into this item number 3, since we're actually not adopting the agenda until after item number 3?
I think that's fine. Yeah, well, why don't you go ahead and adopt that agenda, since you amended it, you haven't officially, there's a motion to amend, we still need to adopt it. So go ahead and adopt,
So just
adopt the amended agenda.
Okay, so we'll do that. I'll make a motion to adopt the amended agenda. I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor of adopting the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That motion passed unanimous. So we'll start with the introduction of members, new members, and then we'll go through the housekeeping. Starting to my left,
Encroach.
Brenda Hamstead.
Hodge Patel.
Todd Chernick.
Barry Cohen.
Adam Danella. David Jackson.
Welcome to our new members and welcome back to our prior members. Just from a meeting housekeeping standpoint, tonight we're going to do election of officers. We do this every year in the January meeting. And in that we'll be electing the chair and then a vice chair who would serve in the instance where the chair is not available or the chair needs to recuse themselves, like last meeting. I wanted to just, from a housekeeping standpoint, as it relates to all cases, and this is in our bylaws, with respect to variance requests, we have the opportunity to approve, and let me read it exactly from our bylaws. So the decisions of the board shall be by a majority vote of the members present. On primary variances, the board may approve or partially approve and impose conditions related to the application, deny, or we can hold for further study not less than 30 days. And oftentimes we call that a deferral. So those are our choices as it relates to all cases. There may be also an instance where we would make a motion to withdraw, and you will see that actually as in tonight's agenda, where the application is going to be withdrawn, usually without prejudice, which would allow the applicant to come forward at a future date. So just wanted to make sure that that was clear. And also from a housekeeping standpoint, are there any burning questions before we actually move into the proceedings? None? All right. So then we'll move into the next item on our agenda, which is election of officers. And I would open the floor for a motion for chair.
I'll make a motion to nominate Todd Chernick for chairman for the 2022 calendar year He's been on the board since day one. He's been terrific from a leadership perspective, making sure that both the applicants and those that are in attendance fully understand kind of the overall process that we go through from a meeting standpoint, and is very efficient.
Second.
Dueling seconds, okay. Everybody said that. I guess since I was nominated, I'll just say that it would be my pleasure to continue to serve. I think my role is to ensure we have efficient meetings, plain and simple. The applicants get a fair opportunity to make their case. We get a fair opportunity to ask questions that need to be asked, and that we run an efficient meeting. So that's what I've tried to do and would continue to look to do. So with that, we have a motion for myself to be nominated as chair for 2022. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. That motion passed. I'll then open the floor for vice chair, nomination for vice chair for 2022.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Haj Patel as vice chair for the 2022 calendar year. And just say he's been a great vice chair in the past, and I know he'll continue to be so. He's been a great leader and example.
I'd second that motion. You want to say anything?
I will accept the nomination for vice chair for the calendar year 2022.
And thanks for standing in last month and serving as vice chair. It's harder than it looks, right?
He did a great job.
Is there any discussion regarding Haj Patel being nominated for vice chair?
I also think he did a great job in the December meeting, taking over as interim chair.
All right, and now raise it for a vote. All those in favor of Haj Patel for vice chair 2022 calendar year, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. You passed unanimous. Our next item on the agenda would be, and for those members who are not members, we have a couple items regarding actions from prior meetings. You can feel free to abstain from those votes since you were not a member at that point. So that's item number 5, which is approval of our December 21st, 2021 meeting minutes. I make a motion to approve those as published.
Second.
Is there any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of approving the December 2021 meeting minutes as published, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Abstain?
Abstain.
Abstain. Okay, so we have 4 abstaining. Don Kurt was not a member at that point. Would the motion carry?
Let me get the exact wording to make sure.
What would
I believe
prevent
it carries
what
3-0. Let's make sure it reads appropriately. In fact, we will need 4 members. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's constituted quorum.
If we're current members and voting on a current motion, wouldn't that work?
Here's okay. 3-0 passes. A majority of those present and voting. Since only 3 members voted, that did receive a majority of those voting. So that did pass.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying, because it'll impact us here for. Yeah.
It just wouldn't work.
This is
We would
why
never
we
be
have
able
the
to adopt
city.
those.
This is why we have the city attorney available to us.
Can I ask a question to the city attorney? I know in the past, let's say if somebody isn't present at a meeting, but they can still vote on the minutes as long as they read it, is that not correct?
I think it's a better
Not to?
practice to go ahead and abstain.
Okay, I'm just clarifying because I've had in the past where.
Yeah. Theoretically, if you've watched.
So
the
Don,
video.
that was best practice.
Best practices, yeah.
All right, so before we move into item number 6, or we will move into item number 6, which is consideration of primary variances, I would read for the record that the Board of Zoning Appeals is a quasi-judicial board comprised of resident volunteers of the city of Milton. The board is charged with hearing requests for variances from the standards of the zoning ordinance and appeals of administrative determination. With regard to decisions on primary variances, the board's basis for decision is provided by these 4 considerations. A, relief if granted would not offend the spirit or intent of the ordinance. And B, there are such extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions pertaining to the particular piece of property that the literal or strict application of the ordinance would create an unnecessary hardship due to size, shape, or topography, or other extraordinary and exceptional situations or conditions not caused by the variance applicant. And C, relief, if granted, would not cause a substantial detriment to the public good and surrounding properties. And D, that the public safety, health, and welfare are secured and that substantial justice is done. And just out of an abundance of caution, note that in those 4 variance considerations, they're separated by the word "and," which means all 4 of those variance considerations must be met in the eyes of this board in terms of reaching an approval. Not 1 of 4, 3 of 4, it's 4 of 4 in the eyes of this board. So with that, I'd ask staff to please present item V22-01, 505 Doris Road.
V2201 505 Doris Road. Requested variance is to allow the existing accessory structure in R2 zoned property to remain 2 feet inside the side yard setback. The site is a 11.3 acre lot on the south side of Doris Road. The property is zoned R2 and is located in rural Milton Overlay District. Section 64, 462C1 requires a minimum 15-foot side setback for properties in R2 zoning district. Currently, the property has a house with a pool and 3 other accessory structures not housing animals. All buildings are conforming with the zoning ordinance except one existing storage shed on the southwest side of the property that is at 13 feet from the west property line. The applicant wants to improve the property by adding an entertainment area with an underground bunker on the property. However, Milton's zoning ordinance requires that the property to be compliant with the zoning ordinance before acquiring any new building permit. Therefore, the applicant is requesting this variance to bring the existing shed in compliance with the zoning ordinance. Exhibit A in the staff report shows the location of existing shed on site. Exhibit B is showing the pictures of the existing barn. On January 4th, 2022, Design Review Board met and had following comments. DRB recommends approval of the variance. If approved, staff recommends following conditions. For the existing shed, as per the site's survey received on November 16, 2021, that should be the condition if approved.
Okay, are there any questions for staff? I do have one question. In this case, the side yard setback is
15 feet.
15 feet. The request is to have a variance of 2 feet. If this were 1.5 feet,
Yes.
how would this be handled by staff?
It would be a minor variance because the up to 10% encroachment into setback, we do give them variance administratively, which would not require a public hearing, but there are other requirements that are to be fulfilled. But yeah.
Okay, so in summary, Staff has discretion up to 10% to handle a variance request through an administrative process.
Yep. And in addition, there is another type called minor variance, administrative minor, which if they had only 1 foot, we would give them administrative minor. Another type of variance would, it's only for 1 foot set encroachment.
Okay.
And let me ask you this, how would, if at some point, I mean, I'm looking at the condition, if they had to do repairs or wanted to change or modify and rebuild, would there be a requirement that they be within the 15 feet on a modification?
If they are modifying completely, not repair, yes, they would be required 15 feet.
Let me say, it does depend on the conditions that were imposed. If it were to pose a broad grant of a 2-foot variance anywhere on the property, then they could go anywhere 2 feet on the property and it would satisfy. If you say only in the existing footprint, then if they want to go anywhere but the existing, excuse me. No, I think I'm good now. Anywhere but the existing footprint would require either a modification to that condition, or if they want to go further, they'd have to get a new variance.
Okay.
So in summary then, following staff's recommendation, making the condition per the site plan, it would bind it to that structure in that location.
Okay.
This variance request to that structure in that location.
Will we have no letters of supporting or not?
No, we don't have.
Okay, are there any other questions for staff before I ask the applicant to come forward?
I've got a quick question. Can you differentiate between a accessory structure that's housing animals and one that is not in terms of the side yard setbacks for that?
So if it was a structure that is housing animals, it would require 100 feet from all property lines. But since it's just a storage shed, it has to abide by regular building setback requirements.
Thank you.
Okay, if there's no further questions, I'd ask the applicant to please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
You know what? For R2 zone properties, it would actually require 200 feet for if it was housing animals. Yeah, so just a correction.
Very rare. I think we did it a few months ago on
Freemanville
Freemanville.
property,
There
yeah.
was one for that one.
Go ahead.
Good evening. Denise Brown, 505 Doris Road.
Hi, Denise.
I don't know what you want me to say. She's pretty much set out what it is. It's a shed, and I've got equipment for the farm in the shed.
And you're intending on continuing to use it for
Yes,
that existing
yes,
use?
Yes.
You're not having any intentions of housing animals in that
No.
structure?
No.
Okay.
Just curious, which direction is the opening? Is that
It's towards the back of the property.
towards back?
Yeah. The shed is actually in the woods, so neither myself nor my neighbors even see it from our homes.
And I'm trying to even see where your nearest neighbor is. They're way forward on the property.
They're quite a bit away.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're further away than I am.
Have you had a
in fact.
conversation with your neighbor
I
regarding this?
have, and they said they have no concerns, was her exact words.
And we do have pictures of the site to see its orientation and the wooded surroundings. Is there anything else you would like to add, and are there any questions for the applicant? Okay, if you could take a seat, we're going to see if there's any public comment. And then Ms. Brown, you'll have an opportunity to make a closing statement if you care before we reach a motion. Staff, do you have any?
No,
There's no public comment. Ms. Brown, you have an opportunity to make a final statement. Otherwise, we will move to a motion. It's your decision. And if the board has any final questions for the applicant, now would be the time to ask those as well.
Yeah, no, all I can say is I think that shed has been there since the house has been built, and it's not causing any harm to anybody, and it's a benefit to me to have. So
And the
it
house was built approximately when?
in the 80s,
In 1980s?
Yeah.
Okay,
How long have you owned the property?
since 13,
2013, okay.
Yeah.
The new structure, will it be within the 2-foot?
No, oh,
variance?
no,
Okay.
no. The new structure is about 300 feet away from this.
Or from a setback?
I don't know how far it is from the setback, but it's, so if you're looking at the property from Doris Road, the house, there's a house, and then there's the pool right behind the house. Further back to the right is the shed, and the new building is going to be to the left of the pool.
So in the process of seeking a building permit for this new project, this accessory structure was identified as being non-compliant.
Yeah, I submitted a site plan, which is required for the permit.
This variance wouldn't give her permission to put a structure within that 2 feet, though, would it?
If we condition it according to the site plan, which identifies that structure in its current location, then no.
Great.
And is that consistent?
Yeah, and I would probably identify the existing structure as well if you want to. I mean, effectively, that's what you're doing to the site plan as well, but.
Yeah, it's noted as a frame
Yeah.
shed on the site plan. We're going through all the steps here to make sure everyone, we have new members, so we want to make sure everyone's get all their bearings and all their questions answered. So sorry, you get to be the guinea pig case for us. Any last questions for the applicant before we move to a motion? Okay, thank you,
Thank
Ms.
you.
Brown. Any last questions for staff? All right. With that, I'll make a note that public comment is closed, and I would open the floor for a motion and a second.
I'll make the motion to approve V22-01. It is not, it meets the intent of the ordinance. It's not causing any detriment to the public good or to the safety of the community. So I would say that it be approved in accordance with the site plan, which is dated November,
December 7th. December 7th.
oh, is that the larger
Oh, no,
one?
no, no,
The
sorry,
larger one
I'm
is
sorry.
December 7th? Okay.
I'm sorry.
November 16th.
16th.
November 16th.
November 16th, and that drawn up, have a name of who drew that up? Sorry.
Georgia Land Survey. Is this what you want? Amy?
Yeah, okay, I hadn't opened the big one. Georgia Land Surveyors, I'm sorry. In accordance with the site plan drawn up by Georgia Land Surveyors and submitted November 16th, 2021. The only condition that I would recommend would be to be in compliance with that plan and that the shed, as noted on the document, the plan is a shed, that says again,
Frame shed.
Frame shed.
a frame shed.
Second.
I'll second.
We have a second. So just to recap, the motion is to approve with the condition being per the site plan received 11/16/2021 by Georgia Land Surveyor and noted on the plan as frame shed to identify a
correct,
specific
correct.
location. And you also raised as part of your motion that you felt this application met all four of our considerations.
Yes, as I went through there, yes.
Is there any discussion regarding this motion? Okay. If I can get a show of support or not for V22-01, the motion is to approve as noted with the condition of per the site plan. All those in favor of say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, say nay. That motion passed unanimous. The next item on our agenda is V22-02, 14225 Birmingham Highway. Would staff please present?
This item is administratively deferred for 30 days for the next BZA meeting.
And so we do not have to take action on that since the DRB is actually deferring this item for additional information?
Yeah, that is the basis for the director's decision to administratively defer. Because the director administratively deferred it, this board will not hear it and does not have to vote on the deferral.
Okay, thanks for clarifying. So then the next item is on our agenda would be V22-03, 355 Cox Road.
This case is also administratively deferred.
Okay. Then that moves us to item V22-04, 1310 Rolling Links Drive.
V2204 1310 Rolling Links Drive requested variances to allow the lot coverage for a community unit plan CUP zone property that fronts a private street to go from 25% to 28%. The site is a 1 acre lot on the east side of Rolling Link Drive in White Column subdivision. The property is zoned community unit plan, also known as CUP, and is located in the rural Milton overlay district. Section 64-1141D1A allows a maximum of 25% lot coverage for the properties fronting private road in the rural Milton overlay district. Lot coverage is defined in the zoning ordinance as following. Lot coverage means the percentage of impervious surface located on a lot in comparison to the total lot area, calculated by dividing impervious surface area by total lot area. For the purpose of calculating lot coverage, impervious surface shall include following. 1. Footprint of the main building, regardless of its size. The total footprint of any accessory buildings larger than 150 square feet, swimming pools, hot tubs, and accessory decks, and parking pads and driveways. The existing lot coverage on this property is 25.195% without a pool. The proposed lot coverage with the pool and a pool deck is 28%. Therefore, this variance is requested to allow the lot coverage to increase from 25% to 28%. Exhibit A shows the site plan received on December 7, 2021. The applicant proposes two dry wells to mitigate the additional stormwater runoff. Pool deck, and a pool equipment can be minimum 10 feet from the property lines. Proposed pool is more than 10 feet from the property lines. The existing house is encroaching 5 feet into the rear setback. Staff is processing a minor variance to bring the house in compliance with the zoning ordinance. A minor variance is processed administratively for the setback encroachment up to 10%. It does not require a public hearing at the BZA. On January 4th, Design Review Board met and had following comments. DRB recommends approval of the variance. If approved, staff recommends following conditions. Install 2 flow wells as per the site plan received on December 7th, 2021.
Are there any questions for staff?
Yeah, I'm just curious. We're given the leeway on minor variances aside and such, but you're not allowed to make a minor variance related to coverage.
No.
It's a very small percentage of coverage.
No, those types of minor variance and administrative variances are only for the setbacks up to 10% or 1 foot.
Curious.
can you
Yes,
offer?
Robin.
Oh, I was going to say, some jurisdictions do allow kind of like averaging where they could put more non-impervious somewhere else. Oh, no, that's buffers. Never mind. Yeah, there's no variance.
So just want a clarification on the ordinance itself. In this case, this is a private street since it's a gated community, and this land is subject to 25% maximum coverage, impervious coverage.
Yes,
If it were a public street, what would the percentage coverage allowed?
20%.
20%. Okay.
It becomes a private street when it's platted as a private street.
It doesn't have to have a gate, but it's just.
Thank you. Yes, that's good clarification. And then I just want to make sure, you read this in the staff report, but I want to make sure that others understand. Can you put the site plan up on the screen? You mentioned the existing home actually encroaches into the side yard. Now, since this is a pie-shaped lot, we have two sides and not a rear. The one side has a greater buffer. I'm assuming that's because it abuts the golf course. And that was platted that way. So the one side has a 35% undisturbed and a 50-foot building setback, whereas the left side from street view only has a 10-foot building setback.
Well, this subdivision was platted as cups, so there is flexibility for setbacks, and this is what was conditioned during the platting.
Okay, and then, so can you identify from the staff report, the home encroaching into the side yard and how that's being addressed?
The homes encroaching into side yard, the 50 feet rear yard setback. So this one. That corner is at 45.3 inches, so less than 5%, less than 5 feet, which is less than 10%.
Okay, I just wanted everyone to understand how that's being addressed. It's not for our discussion tonight. Our discussion is specific to the pool addition, which would bring the impervious coverage up to 28% of impervious for the property. Any other questions for staff? Okay, with that, I'd ask the applicant to please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Hello.
Hi.
Rick McDermott, Aqua Blue Pools. My address, 710 Dunscore Court, Roswell, Georgia. We're requesting a variance, as has already been stated, to 28%. To help mitigate things in regards to stormwater runoff, which is usually why they require a certain percentage of impervious, is to help with the water runoff and so forth. We came together with a plan to put in flow wells, two 24-inch flow wells with 24-inch of gravel around the sides and on the bottom, which accommodates, there's a graph on the site plan at the bottom that shows the amount of square footage that covers for stormwater runoff. And in the graph, it states a 24-inch.
No, look into your site plan,
The larger site plan, yeah.
Yep.
It's by doing that, we would be accommodating 1,300 square feet, which is slightly over what we're asking in regards to stormwater runoff. So that would help. That mitigates the amount of impervious we have. It is a paver deck set on a crush and run base. So there is, there will be some water that goes through the pavers and so forth, but that's an impossible, it's hard to say exactly how much water would go through.
Yeah, you don't get any credit for that.
I'm sorry?
You don't get credit for
Yeah,
that.
no, it's fine.
But it's different than a poured concrete slab.
Yeah, in the last meeting, in the DRB meeting, they had asked that, so I just thought I'd bring that up for you guys. We do have neighborhood approval on the project already. We have letters from all of the architectural review board members and probably 7 or 8 neighbors, and we have a couple of the neighbors in here tonight and the homeowner here tonight that all were in support of the variance. And that's about it.
I have a couple questions for you.
Sure.
When was the home built?
Oh, I have not. When was your home built, Phil?
In the
1996.
90s.
Yeah, I think, I'd say it was probably late 80s, 90s, just from.
96, okay. When was the home purchased? By the applicant?
Summer of last year.
So 2021? Okay, and then I have specific questions to the site plan regarding the septic systems.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain the notations? There's, it looks like a septic tank and septic lines in the front yard, and then there's to be relocated septic lines in the rear corner.
Yeah, my surveyor made a mistake there. They haven't been relocated. All the septic lines that are here are as originally installed.
Okay,
The septic in the front is for the basement of the house. You'll see it on the front. I guess it's the front left-hand side of the house as you're looking out towards the street. That's there for the basement. And then the upper level septic is marked just with the SS lines and showing a 17-foot 7-inch distance between the structure of the pool and the closest line. But none of them have been relocated on this.
and there's no intentions of relocating
No, sir.
the tank or the field?
Correct.
All right, then that leads me to my real question is, where is the identified reserve septic system?
The reserve would be, and I went through this with environmental health. The reserve, you mean the reserve area? Okay, yeah, the reserved area for the septic system, they said would be in the front right-hand side of the property. That's what the gentleman who did the review with environmental health said it could go, Kolo Ghana.
Do you have any documentation on that?
I just have the approval letter. So,
Can you just put that up on the screen?
yeah, sure.
So one of the,
Does this just lay on here?
yep, it does. And so one of the factors is runoff, as you identified earlier, erosion. The other is coverage not to exceed, so we don't have septic issues, because this property is only served by septic and will only be served by septic.
Correct.
So we want to make sure there's a reserve capacity should the main field fail.
Mhm.
And so you've gone through the steps, it sounds like, with the health department already?
That's correct.
Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
Just give us a minute to read what you've got.
Absolutely. There's a second page to the approval. I'm not sure if you, I'll go ahead and put that up. I'll go ahead and put the second page up now.
Hang on a
Let them
second.
read. Let them finish reading.
Okay. Yes.
Okay, so the checkbox is the proposed renovation is approved since it will not interfere with the existing on-site sewage management system or the area which has been designated for use as a reserve field in the event the initial system fails.
Correct.
So that's the important part that I was seeking clarification on. If you want to put the second page up, that's fine.
Absolutely.
All right, in this second page, there is no mention specifically of the reserve field or its location. It's a question for you.
Yeah.
You identified it as being the the
Yeah, this is just a
front
sta-
corner of the property?
Yeah, this is just a standard form that's
Okay.
issued from the environmental health.
In the future, you're the representative for the pool company?
Yes, I own it. Yeah.
Okay. Might just take note to identify those reserve fields on these drawings. It helps us.
Yeah, typically I do.
Okay.
I apologize.
Um,
Typically we'll put a box around it, label it reserve area.
I mean, there is no plan B when
Yeah.
it comes to Milton and septic. You got septic
You
or
got
you got
septic.
septic. Okay?
Yeah, everybody has septic. There's
All
no
right.
doubt about that. Yeah.
So to help you and help us,
Yeah.
that'd be something to put on there going, in the future. Those were my questions. Are there any others?
I've got a question. The date on the application, I believe, was in August of 2021 from the county. And the plans that we're looking at are December 7th of 2021. Were there any substantial changes or any modifications to the plans between when the county approved it and the plans we're looking at today?
No, sir. No, sir. Actually, we went through the permitting process, and I wasn't aware of the 25% impervious, to be quite honest. I just hadn't run into it in Milton yet. And when it came up, it came up during the permitting process. And then that's what led to the later date for the application for the variance. So.
Thanks.
Let me ask you, what's the topography of the land to where the water, which direction is it running on this property?
It's running back towards the back right-hand corner of the, well,
If
let's call
you're
it the
viewing
pu-
it from the street?
I'm
When you
sorry?
say back right, viewing from the street?
Yeah, that's kind of what I was looking at, just so I don't mess up here. As you look at the property and say you're standing on the back patio of the property, looking out towards the pool, it would flow towards the back right-hand side of the property, almost to the exact corner of the property, where the I don't know, yeah, the back right side, the corner of the pie that's on the back right-hand side. It's a relatively flat backyard until you get back into the septic area, and then it kind of slopes down. But in general, it's in all the pools I build, I consider it a flat backyard here in Georgia. There's no doubt.
Right. Yeah, I was just concerned. I mean, if the water's running away to that back corner, you've got your proposed dry wells up above that. What I'm looking at would be the north top side.
Yeah, the reason
Right, away from the
reason I
pool?
put the flow, well, it kind of slopes towards that property, like the property line that runs down the left-hand side there, it does slope down towards that property line, and there's a row of trees right there for privacy. And I was going to run the pipe right along that tree line to the back of the property in the corner, where there is an existing I don't even know how to describe it. It's not something that's been put there by, the county or anything like that, I don't think, but there's a drain area back there that catches water and holds water. So.
And where is that on the property?
It's back on the very far right-hand side in the back there. It might actually be part of the golf course. I'm not quite certain, but it catches water right back there. And then the flow, when it goes past that, goes steeply downhill to the far, like it follows the golf cart path, which is on here. The grade goes down pretty steep right there.
Adam, let me ask a clarifying question to staff. So in plan review, and engineering reviews this plan, will they identify the appropriate locations for dry well, flow wells?
Correct. So our stormwater engineer, he will review it, and if it needs to be adjusted, he'll ask it to be adjusted, so.
Okay,
Which we don't have any, we can put them anywhere they want us.
Right.
Yeah, we don't have any problem with that.
any other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, I don't have a calculator here. What does that 3% actually represent in square feet?
It's the
Is it here somewhere?
1,264 square feet, sir.
In the bottom left of the big site plan, there's a table.
Reading down here. Okay, so What's the whole pool area?
That is the area with the decking, the 1264.
So the existing coverage is 11,108. The addition of the pool would add an additional 1,264.
1,264 is the 3%.
Correct. Brings us to 28%.
No way you can do anything to change the size of the pool or anything. It would be pretty much
Yeah, the
insignificant.
house itself, as it stands, is over the limit as it is. It's like 25.1%.
It'd be pretty insignificant to try. I was just trying to get a sense of how.
Oh, I totally agree with you, yeah.
Nope, that's all I wanted to understand.
Okay, so our order of business is we'll hear from any public if there is any, and you'll have a chance to make a closing comment.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Oh, there are 15 letters of support. That
How many?
15.
Okay?
It was just in a file and I did not had scanned it, I guess. So I forgot to put it in a packet, but yeah, we have 15 letters of support.
15.
15.
Okay, that's a lot.
I'd ask the city attorney, how would you like to address that in terms of the record?
I think for purposes of this, if you can, if you've been through them, I mean, I wouldn't say you have to read it verbatim.
They read, the statement is the same. I can read the addresses.
That would be sufficient.
And before you do that, it was identified that there's a neighbor here. Are they looking to speak in favor or in opposition?
They are in support.
I understand. Are they looking to speak? Do you have, yes, and I'd ask you to fill out a public comment card, so we have.
They did fill out, but.
You did, okay. So let's hear from the public first, and then you could read the addresses into the record. No, we'll need you to come up and state your name and address, and we need to get you on the recording. These meetings are videoed and kept for the record.
My name is Skip Williams. Legally, I'm Ernest Williams. In here, and actually, I'm the primary neighbor. I have the property right beside.
The neighbor to the left.
Yeah. And I bought the house about 7 years ago. There had been some drainage issue from the prior owner that was corrected prior to my receiving it. But we've been very comfortable with the new neighbors. I've reviewed what they're proposing in here. They're a very courteous neighbor, and I know that if there are any issues, that they would clearly, get them resolved in that sense in here. But again, we're comfortable. We're looking forward to hearing kids giggle over the summer in here, enjoying the pool. So, but I would strongly encourage you to make this variance.
Okay, thank you for coming forward to speak. And so with that, it sounds like there's a form approval letter, and then many people have signed from various addresses?
Yes.
Okay, go for it. You're on the record.
Okay. The statement says, our home is next door to 1310 Rolling Links, and we are supportive of new pool being proposed. We are supportive of the requested variance. Neighbor one, Skip Juliams, 1290 Rolling Links Drive. Emily Barber, 1390 Rolling Links Drive. Katrina Crosby, 1325 Rolling Links Drive. Shan Malone, 1370 Rolling Links Drive. Tim Soriano, 1335 Rolling Links Drive. Michelle Raxdale, 870 Colonial Lane.
But they're representing the HOA.
Oh, that's a HOA member at large. Okay. Brad Dell, HOA Modifications Chair, 500 Glen, Hampton Drive. Brent Pennington, HOA Landscape and Ground Chair, 1295 Rolling Links Drive. Tony Palazzo, White Columns HOA President, 1509 Mulfield Cove. Jeff Bernice, HOA Vice President, 15410 Trayburn Manor View. Luis Santiago, HOA Financial Chair, 1305 Rolling Links Drive. Adam Hollingsworth, 1475 Rolling Links Drive. Claudia Wilson, 1315 Rolling Links Drive. Tiffany Jose White, 225 Eagle Circle, this is HOA member at large. Michelle Raxdell, 870 Colonial Lane, HOA member at large.
Okay, so you've been in the neighborhood for 6 months and you've met many of your neighbors, it sounds like. That's a heck of a way to do this. Okay, well, so the applicant, there's no other public comment? Staff?
No.
Okay. So you have an opportunity to make any closing statements. We may have final questions to staff or the applicant. Is there anything further you'd like to add? So the applicant's fine. Do we have any questions for the applicant or for staff before we move to a motion? Okay. With that, I'll make a note that the public comment is closed, and I would open the floor for a motion and a second. I'll make a motion to approve V22-04 to allow the lot coverage for CUP zone property that fronts a private street to go from 25% to 28% per the site plan received December 7th, 2021 by Terra Mark Land Surveying. That's my motion.
Second.
I feel that this application meets all four considerations. We've heard regarding their septic plans, their erosion mitigation plans, their neighbor support, and the uniqueness of this property and it being a pie-shaped with the large setbacks on the golf course side frontage. And
Can I ask you a question on
Sure.
this? Yeah, the trees that are, I assume those are trees. Is that right? Where the little flower looking thing with the dot in them?
yes,
Would that, I mean, those remain, I guess, does that help with the erosion the erosion and or water runoff if there's additional trees in there, or they take trees out? Is that something
that's a good point. So I'm comforted by the fact that this project would go before the city engineer to ensure that there is no unintended erosion or runoff from this project. So that was part of my line of questioning, that's the next step in the
something that goes to the next
process.
step for them?
And whether it's, and thank you for raising this. I meant to also add, and if I can, I'd like to add another condition, which is the staff's recommendation. So we have a motion and a second, but I'd like to also make an amendment to my motion.
There's two ways to do it. You can withdraw and restate, or you can amend to add another
Then
condition.
let me withdraw and restate. Adam, you prompted that. I make a motion to approve V22-05 per the site plan received December 7th, 2021 by Terra Mark Land Surveying, and conditioned on the installation of flow wells per the site plan received on December 7th and per the requirements of the city engineer.
Second.
Are there any other questions or just discussion regarding that
Just to be
motion?
clear, when you said the requirements of the city engineer approval, you mean approval
Per
of
the,
this?
yeah, per their approval. The reason I said requirement initially was if the city engineer requires 3,
So technically, it's a development engineer, so.
So just to restate for abundance of caution, install flow wells per the site plan received December 7th, 2021, per the approval of the city development engineer. Would be the condition.
Second.
And as I said, I believe this meets our 4 considerations as in the applicant as applied.
I'd just add, I'm glad they got the approval from the neighbors and everybody. My concern would be simply just how far back it is in the lot, but with the golf course and the neighbors' approval and the HOA and everything, I'm comfortable with that as well.
Okay, all those in favor of V22-04 as motioned, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. That motion passed unanimous. Good luck with your project. Continue to stay in close coordination with the city staff. Thanks for your preparation. The next item on our agenda is V22-05, 560 Glen, Hampton Drive.
V2205 560 Glen, Hampton Drive. Requested variance is to allow a pool deck and a fire pit to encroach into 75-foot impervious setback. Based on the newly adopted version of stream buffer ordinance on December 6th, 2021, just last month, this variance is not required. If you see Exhibit B in the staff report, I just added a page of this section where it says that
Shubha, can you put that up on the screen?
okay.
Thank you.
So this was in front of City Council Road. Red line text amendment for the stream buffer protection ordinance. And on page yep. And on page 3rd, section 2083. Says that this article will not apply to the following activities. And one of them is work consisting of repair or maintenance of any lawful use of land that is zoned and approved for such use on or before December 7th, 2006. And since this property was part of a subdivision that was platted in 1996, and it did not have additional 50-foot city stream buffer setback and 75-foot impervious setback. It only had 25-foot state stream buffer setback. That would be grandfathered. And so the variance would not be required for encroaching into, the proposed project wouldn't need a variance. Because
Understood.
it's not encroaching the state stream buffer setback.
So can you put the site plan up? This is a little bit of a education for all of us. This is recently adopted text amendment from City Council in December of 2021, which has a significant impact on this board's decision-making going forward. So I just want to make sure we are abundantly clear. Up to this point, projects that impacted the stream buffer had to meet the 25-foot state, the 50, and the 75 impervious from the city. And what this text amendment, as I understand it from staff and the city attorney, if subject property was platted with lesser buffers prior, and was prior to December 7th, 2006, which is when we became a city,
Yeah.
then it would revert to the platted buffer. Did I state that correctly?
I think sounds accurate.
Okay. So using this as an example, this case as an example, we see the 25-foot.
Mhm.
Well, and the 50 county.
Yeah,
No, the 50 is really a city buffer.
Yeah, so the first 25 is state buffer, the next 25, which would be a total of 50, is city, and then the next 25 for a total of 75 is called a non-impervious.
It says county because it used to be Fulton counties.
Right, but they have
We
to,
just-
Right, correct,
we
yeah.
just,
I'm glad we're doing this. So do they have to meet the 25, the 50?
Just the 20, whatever was platted, and what I believe was platted with this section of white columns was 25-foot state buffer. And it
But we also
was-
see the 50-foot county buffer. Is that, was
Right.
not platted that way?
No.
No, it was not.
We went back to the plat. that
Okay,
was
so that's
recorded.
confusing to us as we're seeing.
So
it
we
right
don't
now.
have that in front of us to show you, but,
there
So
was
it
no
was
county
only
plat at the
platted with the
time.
25 state.
correct, and she can show it up on her. And then also not just, the ordinance continues on just because it's grandfathered, but there are certain number of best management practices that would be required for the development to help assist with the drainage. So it's not like they're scot-free.
Okay,
So just to let you know.
that's good to clarify as well for us. So this is the first time we've seen a case like this because the text was just amended to the ordinance last month.
I think we've had one last year that was, came up, but that was after the policy. I think it was a time that we stopped the meeting and had a little sidebar with the city
Yes.
attorney. But
Yeah.
this is officially now in the ordinance.
So out of curiosity, with this case, are they going forward with the plan as shown here?
Correct.
And they're honoring the
Yeah, they're
50?
honoring a lot of, well,
See, it appears they are.
It looks
yeah, it
like
looks like they're staying out of the 50 as well.
Is
Yeah.
that the
So it's only the
fence?
non-impervious, and they're adding flow wells, they're doing a lot of the things that we would have asked them to do if it came before you, as well as what the ordinance requires. So they're doing a good job of mitigating the issue.
Adam, did you have a question?
Just that, is that the fence there or that silt screen? What is the line that kind of runs along that? You see
Yeah,
how it
so
kind
along
of,
the
it looks like a
limits-
barrier? Is that,
Right, it's, so you'll see that LOD.
That's it, yeah.
And that says limits, that means limits of disturbance. And then right inside of that is a type of silt fence. So you're correct, it's silt fence,
SF
yeah,
silt
to
fence? yes.
protect it. Yeah. So I think Shuba has the plat up.
This is not, and the flag has only 25 foot buffer setback. Not even doesn't even have.
which,
Oh, there's none.
Can
Okay.
you show it?
Well, this is
Okay.
25 foot line.
And then it stopped. And it looked like they piped it or had a drainage easement.
It does say 20-foot DE drainage easement.
Yeah, it's a drainage easement instead of
So
a
it's
full
piped, yeah.
stream. But today, if it
opens
was
back up
platted,
further
it would
down.
probably, it would be a stream buffer.
Interesting. And that's to make those two properties a buildable lot below it, more than likely. Okay, well, this was a good little tutorial on real-time changes to ordinances and how that impacts us.
I'd just like to make a comment. I understand this fully, how it's, what's taking place, the intent and all that. I just got very confused when I read that item C. The way this is written, item C is the only thing that allows, because it was basically platted early, that they don't have to follow any of these other regulations. That's basically what it's saying. But it's very confusing in my mind when it says, under construction, fully approved for development, whether it's talking about the newer development. In other words, what we're trying to consider is any new work taking place on this property, right? That's what we're really trying to consider. But when I read this, it's just, we don't need to discuss this forever. It's just very confusing to me how this puts into place what you're trying to, what you're stating and what you intend to do. Just to me, the words, I couldn't reconcile it.
That's what lawyers are for.
Huh?
That's what lawyers are for.
No, I mean, yeah, it's.
And they're both chuckling.
I think we all understand the intent of what's trying to be done. I just
Yes,
think there could be some clarification.
it's not, to the layman, it's not crystal clear.
Right.
I would agree. But maybe by design. Okay, so we do not need to
We don't
take
have to do
action on this
anything.
one? We do.
Yes.
Okay, so. And the action that we are asked to take is to allow this to be withdrawn
Approve the request for withdrawal
without prejudice.
without prejudice, so I would amend.
Okay. So with that, I'll make a motion on B22-05 to approve or to move forward the action to withdraw without prejudice.
Second.
We have 2 seconds, competing seconds. I heard Brenda first. Any discussion? All those in favor of moving forward with withdrawing V22-05, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. Motion to move forward with withdrawal was passed unanimous. The next item on our agenda is consideration of appeals or secondary variances. Do we have any? Old business, item number 8.
No, none.
New business, looks
Well,
like staff's got a couple comments.
Yeah, in the beginning of the year, I would like to remind you that the stipend is available for board members to attend each meeting. I think it's $50 per meeting. And you just need to do some paper fill out for HR to start receiving checks, I guess.
And fill out your tax form.
Yeah, it has to do with taxes and.
So if you care to receive a stipend, if anyone cares to receive a stipend, then contact Shuba and she'll put you in touch for the paperwork that's required.
I just have a comment on the process. I mean, it was 6 to 8 months ago. I mean, I'd been on the board for what, I don't know, 3 years, I don't know. But 6 to 8 months ago, I thought maybe I'll take advantage of this. I went through it and tried to do the paperwork, and I talked to HR, or you sent me the paperwork from HR or something. The way I read the paperwork, I had to become a city employee.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Specifically, and I was just trying to find it, I couldn't find it, but I read it in the past. A BZA member cannot be a city employee. That's a rule.
Oh, okay.
I went back and I
What-
just now I'm looking for it again, but I couldn't find it just now. But somewhere when it talks about BZ members, you can't be a city employee. Number one, let me just finish. And number two, can't they figure out to make it as contractors and just pay us $50? You know, it just seems like there's no reason to become a city employee to get a stipend, which to me is like a contractor or something. It's not your
So
problem.
so I'm actually on the City of Alpharetta's, one of the commissions that deal with code enforcement. And so the way they do it is they have you fill out a 1099. And then, so I'm not sure, maybe I can suggest that to them.
That would make a whole lot more sense, and especially in light of you can't be a city employee on the board.
Right,
So
right.
I think technically, great way to do it.
Mhm.
Good
So the
suggestion.
intent, yeah, this was action that was taken by city council probably, what, 5 or 6 years ago? In recognition of the volunteer members of all the boards. So it was well-intentioned. And I'm not sure how many people have taken advantage of that.
I know my planning commissioners had asked if they can donate it to a cause. This is getting more complicated, but I don't
Christmas
think it can
party.
happen. But we can check. I can make a suggestion to HR about if they can do it. Does it for their board members? I'm not sure why we couldn't.
Okay, I'll let you work through that. The next item?
And the next one is, we are working on providing training, just like we did today, work in progress. So, but we would like to know, it was a suggestion that we do video, but they are actually more work to just produce a video instead. Some people just like one-on-one training. So we would like to know, what is your preference?
If you want to do group training, do you want to do it after a meeting, before a meeting, a different day?
I think there's some topics that would be useful to have in video form, such as like stream buffers and identifying what is a stream. We had that training a while back in PowerPoint because it doesn't change that much and it's technical, right? You might have to go back and rewind and whatever. But then there's other topics that may be just more free form discussion, such as reviewing attendance policies. As it states in our bylaws, we serve a one-year term and our board members must attend 2/3 of the meetings, or we could take action. So I think there's some topics that warrant a video because it could be reused without expense. That's my opinion.
I
Did you
found it
just-
helpful a couple of years ago when we actually started our meeting a little bit early, and it was more of a Q&A session, and we had different examples we proposed to the city attorney of how to address a particular situation or what do we need to consider.
I think that's when our meeting started at 7.
Yeah,
We
that's true.
came at 6.
Yeah.
Now we're coming at 6. We'd have to do that at 5.
And I do think that is a great example where having
A question, yeah.
an open forum Q&A kind of thing to review, hot topics. You know what those are now because we've been a city for 15 years. But they warrant more debate and discussion. So I think a little both.
Mr. Fricke has a lot of training in hand that he can prepare as well that we've done at different times. So maybe a combination of Q&A, some general best practices of training and.
Another item is open records. That was something that Gerard and Davis had done for all the boards at one point, right? Is open records request. And there was something else related to that. It had to do with
Open meetings.
open meetings. Yeah. Those are important points that should be standard for all the boards, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it should be.
Record it once, share it with all the boards.
Right.
In terms of what we can say, how we can get together or not get together. So does that give you enough direction?
We have notes and notes to share with you. We have to kind of decide on which format we would like, and then we
Well, I
can
think they
start
said
sharing.
they'd like to have topics that are going to remain the same, to
Mhm.
be more on a video.
Yeah, do it once and you're done. Yeah, it might be a little more effort now, but it-
And Q&A in a meeting
Okay.
type atmosphere, so.
And
I-
the Q&A one, I would recommend we do it sooner than later since we have 3 new members. There's a lot of benefit in that.
Oh, next month we have 2 cases.
So maybe,
Yeah.
yeah.
The one that are deferred.
Would you
this
guys,
month.
would this board be open to getting together for a Q&A? We'll have, the reason I say this, we have to advertise this at 6 o'clock. I'm sorry, it would be at 5 o'clock. Or we could do it on the back end of a meeting. So which is better for this group in February, doing it, 5 to 6 or after our 2 cases next month?
I think it could drag on significantly if we do it after the meeting.
In
In interest of time, everybody, we should just.
Before, we have a little education for the cases, yeah.
Or do we do it on another day?
Well, can this group get together at 5
Yes.
o'clock?
It's
Yes.
all up to you. We are here. and
No,
we
I'm just
can even do
saying
in
physically with
office
your
hours,
jobs
right?
and other requirements in life. All,
I'm looking at my calendar, I should be available.
okay. Well, then let's do a general
Schedule, yeah,
5 o'clock for February.
right. Call it a work session and we'll advertise it and then we'll have the meeting start at 6, so.
Okay, sounds perfect.
Todd, I just have a, well, maybe it's an added item, but since we're talking about training, have you advised the new people about email usage?
No, that's something that should be discussed though. So
They don't
I did make mention about open records requests. So
We didn't get assigned yet. I didn't,
do they have
They
city
don't
emails
have
assigned?
they don't have their city emails yet. So when they get it, we will kind of give them
So
the
hopefully by
policy.
next month they'll have them, so.
All right, so just for a quick tutorial, you will be issued city emails. Use that exclusively for any correspondence with staff. That makes it cleaner should there be an open records request of any of our communications pertaining to a case. So since we're quasi judicial, our cases could be challenged at the state level, and therefore records could be essentially subpoenaed, if that's the right word. I'm looking at you, Adam. Requested.
Yes.
So use that email and please don't conduct business over that email. It's really, can you send me this, not a debate of topics. Is that fair?
Yeah, and also if you have any kind of correspondence between y'all.
Use that email as well. It's
And no, it will be open to anything and everything.
right. Yeah, just
Setting, could you just set me up all over or something? Because I have never been able to.
Yeah, we can give you.
I
your-
use my
Right.
personal because I was on, kicked off, never been able to reconnect. I don't know what the issue is at this point with you. Maybe you
So
can
maybe what we can do
just ask them to
is-
reset me up an account or something, because I don't know.
Maybe what we can do is we can have IT come maybe 15 minutes before, so maybe we'll make it like
If anyone's having any issue,
4:45 to
yeah.
help y'all. Because I know my planning commissioners have had problems as well, so don't feel like.
Yeah, it's not my setup. I mean, I finally figured out how to do that on my end. It doesn't work.
Right, right. So maybe we could have a time where we're setting up all the emails. So we'll let you know whether that's ready to be set up by the next meeting.
And the city email is set up through an Outlook server. So you'll give it, at cityofmilton.ga or whatever, .us, and then you'll log in essentially through Microsoft.
So I wanted to add, we have a.
And you can get it on your phone too. You can set up on your phone. Sorry.
So before you guys close out, I wanted to introduce to you all Michael Cardeman. He's a planner too. We've getting back up to speed as far as the number of employees. And we stole him from Roswell, and he worked with the Board of Zoning Appeals as the staff liaison there. So he's very experienced. So I think he's going to be gradually taking over this board, and we're going to try to spread all the wealth between all of us. So anyway, just wanted to introduce Michael, and he started at the beginning of the year. So
So you've probably heard that Milton is uniquely rural. Right?
he wasn't used to septic tanks.
And we don't want to be Roswell. We don't aspire to be Roswell. Yeah, right. Welcome. We're glad to have you.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited.
Any other new business discussion? Hodge? Item number
I'll make a
10.
motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of adjourning, say aye. Aye. Opposed, say nay. We are adjourned. If you would please leave your packets and any